Hello, everyone. Hi. Okay. I am fat. Oh, okay. I am tall. I'm a student at Dubai American Academy. I'm an Egyptian. And most importantly, I'm handsome. Okay, hey, all right. Okay. Today I'm going to talk about a word that is always shed in negative light. A word that society made a derogatory term and a synonym for unattractive or ugly. In the Oxford Dictionary, the word fat means nothing more than having large amounts of excess flesh or large in bulk or circumference. But our society and our generation is so caught up with trying to look a certain way or act a certain way. And yes, I should be accused of that. But if I call myself fat nowadays, it's perceived as an insult. If I say I'm fat, I'm not looking for pity. I'm simply describing myself. The word fat is a description. It is a descriptive word, just like thin or tall. Children are becoming more obsessed with their weight at such a young age. CNN reported on March 16, 2012 that 5-year-old Amelia Cooper started to worry about her weight. 5 years old? A time where you should be running around, living a carefree life, having imaginary friends. But Amelia Cooper was more broadly built and taller than the rest of the kids at her school, making her a quick and easy target for bullying. At that point, she became very aware of her weight. She used to come home every single day to her 3-year-old brother and tell him, "If you eat that, you're going to get fat," said her mother, Mary Rhodes. 3-year-olds worry about being fat. 4- and 5-year-olds know skinny is good, fat is bad. Fat hatred has become so pervasive that it's a part of the fabric of our language and interactions, said Dr. Robin Silverman, author of Good Girls Don't Get Fat. Fat is no longer a test or assessment of size or weight, but of a person and their character. This is why this type of language causes and encourages dieting to happen early or to happen at all. This type of language can start as early as in preschool. When kids don't even know what the word fat means, they just know it's not good. They associate it with things like being unpopular, ugly, lazy, boring, all the opposites of being happy, popular, beautiful, good, well-liked. The Parents magazine and blog featured a mother and her daughter that came home from school one day and told her mother that she learned a new bad word in school. Her mother thought it would be fart or damn, but instead, her 5-year-old daughter said, "fat." Okay. Erin Dweller, the mother's name, thought she could save this conversation for at least the early teens, not at age 5. Nonetheless, they sat down, and Erin tried to explain to her 5-year-old daughter that fat isn't a bad word, but at the end, her daughter was never fully convinced. Now, I was explaining my talk to my mother the other day, and she told me something that stunned me at how much it changed today. When my mother was my age, in the late 1600s, I'm kidding, she's right there, I love you. Okay, yeah. In 1980s, the smallest size for pants or jeans in Egypt was a size 42, which is a size 10. My mother had to buy her pants and get them tailored many sizes down for them to fit her. 1980s, just 30-some years ago. I can't do the math right now, but not that long ago, having fat, having curves was once beautiful. It was once normal. Can we shed positive light on the word fat? When is it okay to use the word fat when you're describing an emotion? For example, I feel fat. No. This notion or statement linking fat to negative emotion is constantly reinforced in our culture. People say they feel fat just as if they would say they feel discouraged or lazy. But fat isn't an emotion, nor does it deserve to be linked to any negative emotions. Now, can we use the word fat to shame someone? No. When people say they feel fat, they usually feel embarrassed about how they perceive or others perceive them and their bodies. And if you're obese, that actually increases the risks of you being bullied. And if you call someone fat or shame someone for being fat, it won't make them lose any weight. Actually, a 2013 study showed that body shaming, specifically fat shaming, makes people gain weight. It's okay to gain weight, but it's completely wrong to shame someone for it. Now, let that ad sink in a little, okay? This wonderful ad is trying to make people go vegetarian. Okay, great, but how? It's targeting overweight people, calling them whales, and that they should lose their blubber, which is their fat, which is something we all have, not just overweight people, obese people, or fat people. This type of fat shaming, and many more, is ludicrous and it shouldn't be tolerated. Can we use the word fat to justify discrimination? No. In 2006, researchers took the BMIs of over 6,000 different Americans with all different body types. And their results showed that overweight people who have experienced weight discrimination are more than twice as likely to become obese in the next check-in in 2010. They also found out that already obese people, if they experience weight discrimination, are more than 3 times as likely to stay that way in the next check-in in 2010. Now, what do these results tell us? Well, they tell us that being super negative to people won't make us achieve any positive results. Really? Okay. So a study showed that size discrimination is the 4th most prevalent form of discrimination in America. And this discrimination also has financial implications. Workers who are heavier than their average colleagues are paid $1.25 less per hour than their thinner colleagues. That's an equivalent of $100,000 less before taxes in a 40-year career. The only metric that should dictate a worker's value is the quality of their work, regardless of whether they are overweight, obese, or fat. Is being fat being unhealthy? There are 2 types of fats, and I'm not talking about the saturated and unsaturated fats. I'm talking about the healthy and unhealthy fats. Okay, if an obese person has fat due to consuming large amounts of food and not doing any physical movement or activities, is unhealthy. But if a person has good eating habits and exercises once in a while, is in most cases healthy. This ACE body chart shows the body fat percentage levels in both men and women in many different categories. Now, the essential fat is the minimum amount of fat necessary for physical and psychological health. A research paper conducted and published by Gallagher in the American Journals of Clinical Nutrition said that men who are of 20 to 40 years of age and under 8% body fat, which is this guy right here, okay, are under fat or unhealthy. And women of the same age range that are under 25% body fat right here are also under fat or unhealthy. But Mark Perry, founder and CEO of BodyLean and a renowned trainer, reviewed this paper. And in his opinion, body fat is one important measure of health. But stating that a certain body fat percentage level is unhealthy isn't the whole story. An overweight person can be healthier than their leaner, non-exercising counterparts. Conversely, to call someone with a six-pack, which is less than 8% body fat, under fat or unhealthy is a stretch. We all have different shapes and sizes and different fat distribution profiles. So here's what fat isn't. Fat isn't a feeling. It is not shameful. It cannot be used to justify discrimination, nor in some cases is an indication of one's health. Fat is a substance in all human bodies. It is naturally and biologically necessary. Fat is an adjective to describe a fat person. Fat can still be beautiful, calm, peaceful, outgoing, joyful, excited, adventurous, carefree, and happy. It describes the person's appearance, not the person. As a human race of all shapes and sizes, we need to stop fearing the word fat. But that can only happen when society stops putting shame on the word. We can and will use it openly and freely, just like thin or tall. Thank you.